I don't know why I don't seem to be able to. Let's see. I'm trying to. I always have a hard time signing into this.
Why are you? Why are we
No, it's. I'm trying.
doing your meeting?
Right, but I'm.
Here you are.
Oh, unverified. So gossips is there. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm on or not here. Oh, there we go.
Okay, let's see. Hello.
Hello. George
Hello.
Croner here.
George.
I'm calling in. I'm sorry. It's my mother-in-law's 90th birthday.
Happy birthday. Right on time. Yes, we just started. Is that George on there? Yes.
Hi, George.
Hi.
We haven't even done a roll call or an intro yet.
Okay, good.
We are live, we're recording.
Okay, so, hi, I am Gary Kernhagen, chairperson for the City of Hudson Public Works Board. And I'm calling to order the Public Works Board for, June, 5th. And we'll take a roll call to be, announced who we are.
I'm Justin Weaver, the ADA coordinator and mayoral aide.
I am David Marston. I am a member of this board.
Principal Commissioner DB Doug.
George
And
Croner,
online remotely, we have,
George Croner, public member.
great. And joining us tonight is our partner, Ryan. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Ryan Laux with Property Associates Engineering.
Terrific. Let's just jump, lots have been happening, so let's catch up. Why don't we start with, as we usually do, with the report by, Ryan?
So since the last meeting, the Common Council, my understanding is they approved the contract for Vosberg and Sons, so they've been notified, that they should prepare the contract documents and submit the draft versions to our office for review. And generally, we just ask them to submit their insurances and things like that, because we like to review those things before they get sent in, as well as the bond documents. So they've been notified and they're in the process of preparing those and submitting them. Once we have them, we'll send them into the city. Also, we have been working on finalizing the Excel file for the assessments. That document was circulated today to a number of people in the city for review. And the number is around 300,000 for the assessment. And that number does include the credit applications being input. So at this point, we're pretty much on track to make the submission to the county this month, which I believe the end of the month was the deadline. So we're well ahead of that. And it seems like that was pretty seamless with all the credit applications. The only other piece that I'll bring up as a little bit of new business is this month, or starting at the end of last month, beginning of this month, there's been some releases on grant opportunities. And one that I have done a little research on is the New York City Community Development Block Grant. And in this program, there's a couple of different categories and some things that the city could apply for else outside of sidewalks, but the sidewalk piece, there could be up to $1 million for sidewalk work. And part of that $1 million can cover some of the consultant costs for the project as well. There are caps to it as percentages, but there is some inclusion in that $1 million for consultant fees as well as construction. So that's something that I think the board here, or maybe Gary, speak to the process and how that might go to the Common Council. There's some requirements for public hearings and things like that. I did talk with Rob Perry because one of the pieces of this, we probably would have a very aggressive application if there was multiple applications from the municipality for different things. So I talked to Rob about if there were any infrastructure related pieces that he was going to be applying for, or looking to apply for. And given his current workload for other work in the city, didn't seem like this year or potentially the next year is going to be something he would be looking for. So just kind of tied in. So it doesn't sound like DPW would have any other applications. I don't know if anything else has come before the Common Council for other applications as discussions yet, but seeing that there's potential for $1 million in sidewalks, you could progress quite a bit of work, especially if you were to look at the areas two public buildings like we've been talking about, you could probably knock out a number of those streets. At least one side, if you start with that and see how far you can go. So,
I'll respond and contribute to that after you finish your report.
yeah, so that kind of summarizes where we are and what we've come to be, so. I think that's kind of all we have for this evening.
Thank you, Ryan. Allow me to jump in and respond to the grants and thank you. That was something that you had, suggested early on in your proposal, so I'm glad to see you delivering on that. Also, another common council member directed to me that there's another fund called Safe Streets and Roads for All Fund. And, I have not investigated that at all, but I think this is a very appropriate time for this board to begin focusing on grants that are available to us. That'd be just a huge win if we had, $1 million to really knock out a lot of stuff here, pay off the city, et cetera. And to that end, I'm just gonna say up front, I would ask that either Dave or George take this on as the point person. And the reason I'm asking that is Justin and Tyler have just, and they're gonna continue to be involved in just an incredible job in terms of managing all of the applications for credits, et cetera, so which we appreciate.
Thank you.
And the common council appreciates too. I think, they're very comfortable and complimentary. And the fact that there's very few people even monitoring us says the world, So George or Dave, could I ask, because I'm assuming there's others out there, our Crawford and Associates would be a point person in doing all the application. I just think this board should have a focus on it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea too,
I
Chairman.
agree.
Do we still have grant writers on, like,
Yes.
John Duchesne or?
We have LaBerge. We just went through our procurement process. We had 15 applicants. We limited it down to a top 4. We had interviews and LaBerge came out on top. The contract is actually going to be before the council on June 17th to make that official. But we, in theory, have awarded them a contract. The contract does not get signed and officialized until so this is a great time to get everything together.
Okay, but yes, I will get more information on this that you mentioned and the Safe Streets for Everyone. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'll pass that information on to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We appreciate that. Thank you. I don't think we need to take a vote on that, so let's see. Thank you. Terrific. Justin, why don't you give us, as usual, an ADA update?
Yes,
The
so,
community appreciates that.
of course. So we had our meeting today with Creighton Manning and Louise. And work accomplished since May 22nd. They have put in the granite sets at First and Warren and Second and Warren, and they're still working on those. They were not completely level, so they're fixing that to be ADA compliant. There can't be any different levels, and some of them aren't sitting flush, so they are working on that currently. The decorative shrouds have been placed on all the new streetlights. Over the next 2 weeks, they're gonna still work on those granite sets. The handrail on the staircase, the cross street stairs is going to be installed next week.
Okay.
So, yes, finally, hallelujah. The only caveat to that is the staircase will not be accessible as that is being installed. So from the dates of the 9th through the 13th, the staircase will not be accessible so that they can install the permanent handrail. All plantings and landscaping will begin on June 16th on Front Street. And that includes edging. They're gonna work their way up to First and then Second. But they are starting on Front on June 16th. And Dave, the stop signs are being installed next week. Now, I can't give you an exact day, but it is happening between June 9th and June 13th. And I said, are you sure? Are you absolutely 100% definite? And yes, that will be happening next week. We did let them know about our Flag Day Parade on June 14th and the large crowds expected, and told them that they need to get all their equipment, stored materials, everything off of our city streets. Everything needs to be cleaned and buttoned up for pedestrians, and no work is to, of course, to be performed on that day. They agreed to all of that. They'll make sure that happens, and as well as the Pride Parade on June 21st, they're going to do the exact same thing. Get all the equipment out of there, stored materials, etc. There have been, I think they noticed, a total of 12 curb ramps. Okay, so the curb ramps have been done ADA compliant, perfect, but where there's a lip where the asphalt comes in, they've noted 12 corners that are more than 1/4 inch, which makes those not ADA compliant. So they have a list. Rob is going out there. He was going out this afternoon and tomorrow making a list, and those will be corrected. So that is happening. According to the ADA, you cannot have a lip more than 1/4 inch. So there are 12 of those that have been identified. What else? Oh, we'll end on a good note. There is a chance, albeit a small chance, but a real chance, that the bridge, the Ferry Street Bridge, will indeed be open by Flag Day. You heard it here first.
Wow.
I can't give you the percentage of chance, but there is a chance.
That'd be fantastic.
So that's some
But
positive, hopeful news.
Did it? You reported that it would be open by last month, it would be open by when?
Whichever date that I reported on,
You did give a date,
I did give a date
which is
that,
after Flag Day, so it might be done soon.
well, I think I think the first date was, it may have been Memorial Day. I'm not sure.
got postponed.
Yeah, I can't remember the date that I gave, but I know it was identified by the public that I did give that date and it didn't happen. I did say that that was going to be an expected date on the information that Rob Perry had given me. Which that was the information that he had at the time, but unfortunately National Grid was delayed in what they had to do. They swept into town and had to finish up a few things, which pushed our estimated date of that bridge opening back. So we're rolling with the punches as best we can. We don't know all the time when National Grid comes into town until they're here. And we try to smile and make the best of it. So that's that.
Sounds good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tyler, why don't you give us an update on your activity last month?
Oh, so within the last month, we've been working pretty diligently on all the approvals and denials. Going through permits, reviewing everybody's work, that previous work that they've done, looking at all their invoicing. Seeing if they fall within the 10-year mark, which is stated by the policy. Getting approval letters done. Thanks Sam and DPW for taking on that task for us. And we're on process to mail them out tomorrow.
Fantastic, how has the process gone and how could we improve it in coming years?
Well, I think as, you know, as the upcoming years come and with our spreadsheet and, you know, as, you know, we're trying to develop the paperwork to look like, almost like Justin said, a math problem to the public. So it's very easy for them to figure out, this is the work you've done. This is what your assessment cost. Minus your, you know, your work, and then this is what you owe. So we don't want to confuse them, but I think that, you know, as we cleaned up the letters a little bit, I think that that's something that we can improve on in the future, but, you know, it's trial and error, I guess.
What's your sense of the public, the people that you've been interacting with, their sense of the process? A lot of frustration.
No, I don't think so. I think only the frustration part is some of these folks been trying to dig up their, their paperwork, which they didn't see this forthcoming and,
Right.
neither did we, but, I think that's the only part that they've been frustrated with. Other than that, they're okay with everything that we've been doing, and as long as we're, upcoming with all the information that we have and just basically trying to work through this together to get it off the ground.
It seemed to me like the veterans and firefighters exemption registration from our standpoint went well.
Yep.
I like, we were able to just piggyback off of the county's process.
And because of this sidewalk improvement district, we were able to help a couple people get signed up.
Right,
We're
we're in there.
able to handle,
Yep.
new ones coming to us
Yes,
as well.
and
No
point them in
problem.
the right direction to the county to
Right.
get on that.
Yeah.
So that's been great also. And I just have to, sorry.
I was just gonna say, how was the volume of submissions? Is it what you expected? Did it overwhelm? Is it?
What did we end up with?
Roughly, if I had to take a guess, there's maybe 30 to 40, somewhere in that area.
Going in, we threw out a number of 100
Yeah,
and we
Yeah.
weren't too concerned
No.
with that number.
No.
So it was a small number, but it was manageable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really wasn't too bad.
and the letters are going out.
Tomorrow.
Well done.
All the letters are here if you want to look at them before they go out, but they are all finished. I have to say, Tyler and Ryan have been great. They have been coming and meeting with me. It's just been a collaborative thing. I'm just very thankful. And Sam in DPW has been great. These letters are all completely done. And I do have to say, there's been a lot of talk with Gary about how stringent do we want to be? We did give people a list that you need to have as much of this information as possible. And I think we erred on the side of being lenient, to an extent. Tyler would go out and look at the property, and if his eyeball said that there's been fresh sidewalk done, we went with that, and we didn't deny them completely, we did give them a partial credit, so. It turns out the only denials were the ones that were age.
Right outside the 10-year.
The law says it had to have been done within the last 10 years, so if you're outside of the 10 years, that's the only denials. We.
Yeah.
went-
Which is based on 2026, so your work had to be 2016.
Right.
Or,
Sooner. Yeah, well,
so 2015 and prior.
2016 too is out. Because 2016 is going to be the assessment year. And if they didn't, well, that's within 10 years.
Right, they would give one
So
year.
we denied the ones with
Right.
2015.
Right. So anything 2015 and before were the denials.
And there were a handful.
It wasn't many, but.
You had what, 50, and how many got denied?
We're doing a public comment period.
Yeah, we'll answer this question.
I mean, look at the numbers again, you should have stopped following them
There's about 5,
out of 50.
well, out of 30.
Oh,
But again, they were all about age. They were clearly outside of the range, period.
but how did the sidewalks look?
Can we just stick to,
You know what, the work was documented as
It's
2015.
not an official meeting yet for this, the informal, meeting.
this is an official
No,
meeting,
we are in the middle of the public works board
starting at
meeting.
5:30.
We begin at
That's
5:30.
not what it said there, you said, but it's not on the board, that's what it said, 6 o'clock.
Okay, so we're gonna get back to our meeting and we'll take questions in a
My
moment.
apologies.
Thank you.
I didn't realize, I thought it was 6.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I felt that, overall, we acted, as a board in the way I would, hope that, the city would do it. So, it was done well. So again, guys, great job.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your efforts on all of that.
Thanks, Amir.
Thanks. Tom.
Okay. So, now we have to start looking at, this is pretty much finished up. I think we're in good shape. There's, you know, don't have to worry about this at night, which I did for a long time.
I think we all did.
Yeah, what if we couldn't deliver this data, you know? What- Yeah, you know, my mommy won't write me a letter, you know? So anyway, that went well. I think we need to now begin to look at our priorities moving forward.
Yes.
That's going to be very much restricted by our budget. I want to make sure that we keep some money in reserve for whatever contingency might pop up. So, but I do want to also begin to lay out a plan as, okay, you know, are there more intersections, ramps that we need to focus on? But then what are the streets themselves that we have to be focused, on, right?
Yep.
And how do we prioritize that? And, you know, is there economy and scale?
I do think a lot of doing that work to come up with a priority list should happen this year.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's the next.
That's going to be-
Sure.
yeah,
yeah, because we may have money
right?
this year. You know, I'm still thinking there's, you know, there's about 100, well, I have to, but it's around $100,000 we have left from the initial 500 that the city budgeted for us.
Well, when Crawford and Associates helps us to get that extra $1 million, that will be even,
So the part of that, I guess,
And then we need to look at your, a renewed contract.
yes,
I also want to point out that essentially you have completed your contractual obligation, $10,000 less than what was projected.
correct.
Okay, so we came in under budget. We appreciate that. And so we need to look to what's your role moving forward? And obviously there's a real role, you know, look for your help in terms of delineating that.
Certainly.
And then we'll move forward in getting that, approved as well, internally here, as well as the common council. And, so, you know, I don't know, I think we should all think about how we want to begin to approach the next priorities. And maybe what we need is an audit as to what grants will still need, what areas will still need to be done under along the routes for municipal buildings, right? You know, those are the priorities. And then we should all be looking at the streets that are on the routes to municipal buildings. Before I forget, the western side on Front Street, the block between the Amtrak and the bridge on the west side of Front Street, is that part of the plans for DRI?
that was discussed actually this morning. Because Colarusso is doing a portion of that with the bridge work. And then a portion of it is Louisi. So there was discussion about that this morning. And I believe it does fall under the DRI work. So that is gonna be addressed. That was actually at our meeting with Louisi and Craig Manning this morning. Actually, I said this morning, it was at noon. That was discussed at Louisi. It has been told that there was a gray area. There was a little bit of confusion as to,
And it makes sense to leave that until after the bridge work. is
Yes,
done.
right.
And that's the corner from the bridge to the train station?
Yeah,
it's
the street.
across from the Half Moon, right?
No, it's further down. The avenue is above the
Going
bridge.
down.
Oh, okay.
So if at the bridge going to the Amtrak, on the east side front, it's done.
Gotcha.
That's the empty lot. there.
Right.
Yeah,
It's on the other side. It's an old, you know, narrow. Okay, cool. Sorry, it popped in my mind. I've been thinking about that. So let's begin to think in terms of how we want to prioritize it. I'll do what I'm doing all the time now. It's go and refer to my great friend ChatGPT. And go from there. So, does anyone have any new business or any other business?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Got me thinking about it. The grant monies that Tom talked about last week that were used to do the sidewalks on First, do we know what funding?
Is that
That-
chips?
That's it. That's the, what is that acronym?
That's a DPW, CHIPS is, I don't know if that acronym, but that's a yearly amount given to the city. And that covers roads, drainage infrastructure, things like that.
Okay. So then they can allocate a percentage towards sort of undescribed.
There's a criteria list of what you can and can't use that money for.
Yeah.
And that money, in general, a lot of times municipalities try to keep enough of that to make spending enough of it for a big enough project. I don't know how Rob manages, Rob would be the one that has.
That's a New York State Department of Transportation.
It's a DOT thing.
Yeah, and it stands for Consolidated Local Street and Highway Improvement Program.
Okay.
Learn something new every day. Lloyd, did you know that?
I did not, I totally appreciate all the information on ornaments and I mean,
Okay, anything else?
Did we open up to questions now?
We can.
Lloyd,
I'm good.
you don't have any questions? But you got
Listen,
something?
you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Getting the sidewalks straightened out, you know, I mean. And it's not that much of a burden. $100, basically, right? Or more.
For residential properties, it ranges from
Yeah.
50.
For most.
For most, it's 50 or 100.
And so I would have to ask one question, when you project completion of water line? There any idea that percentage water line question?
Well, we've completed this year's process of determining credits for anybody who submitted a credit application. If they've done work on their own sidewalks, that part is done. Those letters will be going out probably next week or tomorrow. Tomorrow they're going out, so that portion's done. We were talking about developing a crew to go out and come up with a priority list to look at all the city sidewalks and really determine which ones need the most TLC. We'll start that work hopefully next year, spring. And we'll see how far we get with.
My answer to that is it's never gonna end. Responsibility of this board for this law is to get the city into ADA compliance.
Right,
You're always gonna have new projects coming up, meaning, you know, something that's good today, 5 years from now, it's gonna need to be repaired.
first of all, that's this way, do you think we'll be in good shape? Or is that just another, you know, to be determined?
I think it's just a cycle, right? So once we, even the work that we're doing now, or even some of the residents that are doing now in 15 years, it's just a cycle. You know, that's,
Right.
I think that's a good question, and you know what? I'll say 2 years. It's just a guess on my part, it's not
So
official.
it's an objection and if I get an issue for them.
Yeah, and when I say in good shape, meaning, you know, you don't have the, you know, the crazy, you know, if someone doesn't see this, they're gonna fall on their face. You know, or a wheelchair can't
I was
navigate.
walking with Wanda who does it on the waitress at the Plaza, she went down State Street. So she was walking in the middle of the road, so, I accompanied her, and then all of a sudden we're walking on the sidewalk. And she hit one of those things and she bounced off the car. She's like, thank goodness that car was there. You know, so there is a need.
Yep.
Everyone talks about it,
And that's what we're here for.
great.
Anything else? We have a motion to close.
Anybody online? Oh,
Yeah, I'm
Anybody
sorry.
online have a question? We're opening it up.
There are anyone on?
We have gossips and we have George.
We don't have Linda?
Linda, no? How are you doing?
Okay,
So that means that we'll not have meeting minutes.
we'll throw something together.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Right, what's that?
I knew something wasn't right because I usually see your face on it.
Yeah.
What's that?
I would.
Oh, yeah, of course, and you weren't here. You can't-
Okay, any questions from the audience?
It looks like we're good.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second? Hey, thank you, Gary.
Thank you.